Welcome back to the second in my three-part series of videos called Sew and Sell. In the first video, if you missed it, we went through some groundwork and you definitely want to look at that. Why do you want to sell? Where do you want to sell? And what do you want to sell? And how do you decide if what you think you want to sell is going to sell and going to be worth your time and effort? In this video, we are going to talk all about the money. How do you figure out what to charge for your products? And it's not a simple math equation. There's other things that you can look at as far as value-based pricing, competitive pricing. So there's a couple things to look at there and a couple different ways to play with it. It's fun once you embrace it. In the third video, we're going to go into product production strategies. How can you make things faster so that you can either make more money for your time or you can be more competitive on price? It's always that where do you go with that, right? But that's what we're going to cover today. So anyway, I am so excited you're here, and I hope that this is super helpful for you in your sew and sell journey. Are you ready to talk about pricing? I know this is the part everyone wants to know, and that usually stresses people out the most. But we are going to go through some pricing strategies, some pricing psychology, and you're going to realize you know more about pricing than you think you do. And then I'm going to help you figure out how you want to look at pricing for the things that you are going to sew and sell. And just like in video one, there is a free brainstorming PDF that you can get below this video. You can use it to take some notes. You can just use it to brainstorm, etc. So let's get started. Now, most people think about pricing as a math equation, right? It's how much do your materials cost? How much do you want to be paid per hour? Or how much are you paying others per hour? And then add a little bit, double it, and there's your price. There's your retail price, right? Well, yeah, yes, and no. So there's a few different ways to look at pricing. I want to look at these three main ways. If you Google pricing strategy, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to find 7 ways, 10 ways, 3 ways, 2 ways. I kind of went through a lot of it, and I have a bit of a background in business. So let's look at these ways. And then if you want to look at more ways, go for it. Head to Google, ask ChatGPT, whatever you want to do. These are the 3 basic things I want you to think about when you're thinking about pricing. First is cost plus pricing. And that's what I just talked about, that math equation. This is what you see on Pinterest the most. How to price your handmade goods. Add this, multiplied by this, and you're good to go. It's the simplest. You want to make sure cost plus pricing always works for your product because you want to cover your cost, right? You need to understand all of the costs for your product down to the unit. So how much every single key fob or whatever, I use key fobs as an example a lot, how much each individual one costs, and not just, oh, I spent this much on key fob hardware, but I'm not quite sure how much one key fob actually cost me to make. We need to know what that cost was for each one. Then the second is value-based pricing. So value-based pricing is a lot more subjective because it's not an equation. It has more to do with psychology and pricing based on the customer's perception of worth. Now, you might be like, what are you talking about? So I'm going to give you a couple examples and you're going to have a big old light bulb over your head and you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. So let's talk about purses first. What is a purse? But a purse holds things for when you go out. That's what it does. Every purse does that. But you can find purses for $5 at Target, and you can find purses for $5,000 at Coach or Louis Vuitton. I know, like, they're not apples to apples. Obviously, the materials used on a high-end purse are more expensive and higher quality than your $5 purse you might find at Target. I know this, so don't get in the comments and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. This is an example. There's not always a $5,000 difference in the materials, right? The perception of Coach being a brand that you want to represent yourself, or I'm a Louis Vuitton person, they say something about you as a person, and that is on purpose. Those brands have built an aura about them, a perception, like how you want to show yourself to the world. And that comes with a price tag. So they can charge more because they have loyal fans that want that thing, right? I want to be a Louis Vuitton girl, or I want to always have Coach, or I must have this brand of shoes. Shoes are another thing. You know, there's brands of shoes, there's brands of purses, there's brands of jewelry. There's gold jewelry, and then there's Tiffany's gold jewelry. There's a silver bracelet with charms, and there's a Tiffany's silver bracelet with charms. They have done such a good job marketing, like, oh, this should be the first great piece of jewelry your child or your granddaughter has. This is what you should get them for graduation. And so they convince us as consumers that, oh, it is worth it because it's Tiffany's. So they have used value-based pricing like ninjas to get our money out of our wallets. And maybe you want to do that with your sewing. The third thing that I want you to consider when you're deciding on your pricing is competitive pricing. Because this is all well and good. You can say, well, this is how much my materials cost to make my key fob, and this is how much I want to make. I want to make $100 an hour, so my key fob is $50. But if everyone else is selling key fobs for $18, you need to rethink whether you want to sell key fob. Now, Tiffany's can probably sell a $100 key fob, but you might not be able to at the farmer's market. So while you can talk about the brand that you want to build and, what your strategy is and what you represent and your lifestyle and your pricing, you also need to be aware of what you're competing against. What are the other options that consumers have for the same functionality? What other purse options do they have? What other keychain options do they have, and how much do they cost? Keeping an eye on what else is out there, and then kind of deciding where you want to be, right? Do you want to be low cost? Like you want to get more sales because yours is good and it's cheaper than everyone else's? Do you want to be higher cost so that people think, oh, this must be better because it costs more? There's definitely people that think that. Or do you want to kind of be in range with everyone else so that people are deciding based on the fabric you used, or they really like you, or they like the store where you're wholesaling, things like that. So where do you want to be in the market? You need to be aware of the market as well as these other things. So that's probably more than you've ever thought about pricing when it comes to handmade goods, but it's all good stuff, right? It's good stuff and good food for thought. That said, let's look at cost-based pricing calculation, and this will be on the free PDF that you can get below this video, because you have to make sure your costs are covered. You have your materials. You want to figure out the cost of every material in every individual unit or individual product, the time, and your hourly rate. So you need to figure out, how long does it take me? Say you're selling key fobs and all of a sudden you have so many orders for key fobs, you need to get your friend who's a great sewist to help you make key fobs. Well, you need to pay her. So you need to know how long it should take her to make a key fob or to make 20 key fobs, and then figure out the hourly rate. So you always need to look at both of those factors. Another really important thing you need to think about are transaction fees. And if you don't take that into account when you're figuring out your pricing, it can have a huge impact, because these would include fees for taking credit cards. If you're selling online, there are different marketplace fees, and different things have different fees. So you're going to have to do a bit of an analysis. So I'm going to go over just some basic things in this video. Then I will do another video where we just really get into the math. I know, math, right? But it's all addition, subtraction. We're not doing calculus or anything crazy, but it's really important to understand how to evaluate what you're doing. Because, I don't know, we all see the ads like, oh, it's going to be cheaper to have your own website and use this versus selling on Etsy or selling on Amazon. And it may or may not be true, depending on how much you're selling and what your goals are. So you really need to do that cost analysis and decide which option is going to be best for you. So even if you're selling in person, there are going to be people that want to pay you digitally, either with a credit card, or Venmo and PayPal are very common payment options that people give even when they're selling in person. So what a lot of people will do is they will create a QR code, and you can get that from your PayPal or your Venmo account and print that out. So then if somebody wants to buy something, but they don't have the cash, you can still take their payment, right? So they just take their phone, they scan the QR code, they give you your money. Works fantastic, but there is a fee for that. There's also going to be fees for taking a credit card, whether you're taking it through PayPal, through Venmo. I'm not sure you can do it through Venmo. I will look. If you have a Stripe account, that's a very common payment gateway. If you're a bigger business, you might have a payment gateway through your bank. Lots of different ways that you can set yourself up to be able to take digital payment. Of course, there are no transaction fees if you're dealing in cash. But again, you could lose sales if you're only dealing in cash in 2025. If you're doing live events, some other fees could include your booth fee. If you're selling online, there are going to be other transaction fees. So for example, on Etsy, you have a listing fee that is 20 cents every time your product is listed. So you list it for sale and then it sells and then you list it again. So every time it sells, it's another 20 cents. Then there's that transaction fee for them handling the credit card section. There's also some optional fees on Etsy. You can choose to do advertising through the Etsy advertising. You can choose to have a Plus account, which is $10 a month. It gives you a little more flexibility on what your storefront looks like. It gives you some free ad credits and some other options. You'll have to look on the website. Then they also have off-site ads, and that's something that you can't opt in or out of. You're in. And I was actually just looking at the website and realized the price has gone up since I last looked at it. So fees change. Offsite ads means they think that your product is going to sell, and so they will advertise it. They'll show it on Google, they'll show it on Facebook, they'll show it different places. So they will pay to advertise it. You only pay the 12 or 15% fee, depending on how much volume your store does, if somebody buys it. If you're going to sell on Etsy, you need to make sure you account for that. Make sure that your price is going to be able to cover that 12 or 15% offsite ad fee if they do advertising that helps you sell your product. You don't want to end up spending money to give someone your product, right? That's called a gift, and we do that to people that we know. Just look at where you're selling and make sure you are aware of the transaction or other miscellaneous fees that you might incur, and take that into account when you are doing your pricing. Then profit. Always add in a little bit of extra so that you have some cushion if your cost of materials goes up or takes you a little bit longer than you expected, or you can just reinvest that into your business for new tools, new sewing machine, new systems, new one-time costs, whatever that may be. So if you're going to be selling wholesale, you need to factor in your material costs, your labor cost, either for your labor or somebody else's, some profit. You still might have transaction fees because many stores want to pay you digitally, just like customers. And right now, I'm doing this video in September of 2025. A very common credit card transaction or PayPal transaction fee seems to be 2.9% plus a flat 30 cents. Then if it is an international charge, there might be another 1 to 2% added onto that for the international currency conversion. Those are good numbers just to use as kind of play around and figure out your pricing. But if you know how you're going to be accepting payments like that, obviously go look on that website and get the details that are specific to what you will actually be using. That can be your retail price if you're never going to wholesale. And this is really important to understand because when you wholesale to a store, they usually want to what they call keystone, which is double. So if I'm a store and I buy something from you for $2, I want to be able to sell it for $4 or more. If you have been selling at the farmer's market for 5 years for $2 and now a store in your area wants to carry it, who's going to go in there and pay $4 or $5 for it when they've been buying it from you for 5 years for $2? So figure out your wholesale and then double it for your retail. Pretend you are a store and that you've bought from the middleman, even if you're the middleman, right? That way, you're going to have some flexibility down the road if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I really want to sell these. What's your wholesale price? Like, can you give me a discount so that I have room to make some money for carrying these and finding you customers? So those two are really important to think about and know. Now, I added distributor price, and this may not ever apply to you, but I just want you to understand what it is just in case. So a distributor is usually a big company that will buy stuff and then sell it wholesale to other people. So it's like an extra level of middleman. And you might be rolling your eyes and thinking, why on earth would I want to be involved in that many levels of middlemen? Because I'm not going to make much money. Because they always want to pay less than wholesale. And it might be 80% of wholesale, it might be 70%, it might be 90%, depends on the distributor and the industry. And I bring this up because There are distributors in the quilting industry. I just started selling printed quilt patterns through Riley Blake that coordinate with the fabrics that I designed for them. So I'm having to write it, test it, print it, package it. And right now I pretty much sell it through Riley Blake. But Riley Blake wants a discount on wholesale. So if I say, well, this pattern should retail for $10 and I sell it on my Etsy shop for $10, because even if it's digital, I never sell for less than what a printed one would be, because I don't want to undercut the stores that are going to carry my stuff. Then they have to be able to sell that to the stores for $5 so that the store can double it and sell it. But if they pay $5, then they're not making anything, but they're spending time and blah, blah, blah. So I have to sell it to them for 80% of that. So $4. So I will make less with distributors, but the idea is that they're going to have a ton more stores that they sell to, and I'm not going to have to ship to hundreds of stores. I ship to one distributor and they distribute it to everybody else. May never apply to you, but that's kind of how it works. It's always interesting to learn how things work, I think. I don't know, business brain in me. Now let's talk about price research. So we talked about pricing strategies, and we talked about needing to know competitive pricing. And that is where your pricing research needs to come in. Like, how do you know what it is? You know, if you're going to be selling into Target, you go to Target and see what they're selling things for, but you're probably not selling your handmade sewn goods to Target. So how do you do it? And these are some things to know. Pricing can vary by venue. One of the people in the comments of my original 15 ideas to sew and sell brought this very important point up. She said, you know, I've been sewing and selling for 20 years and I have moved to different places. And it's amazing to me how people will pay different amounts for the same thing in different parts of the country. And some things will sell in one part of the country and not sell in another part of the country. And she can't totally figure out why, but it's, you know, one of those things. It's one of those things in life that has to do with lifestyle and preferences in different areas and incomes in different areas and competition in other areas. Pricing can vary by venue. If you sell at a live event, your sales are going to be impacted by what people are charging around you. If you sell on Etsy, your sales might be impacted by what other people on Etsy are selling the same thing for. If you want to sell for more, then you just have to convince customers that you're worth more. There has to be a perceived value in your price. And it might be they love your fabric. This other one might be $1 cheaper, but they don't like the fabric very much. They love yours, or they love your brand, or they love your story. We'll talk about story a little bit later. So that's kind of the second thing, that online sales will be impacted by prices in the same marketplace. If you want to sell wholesale to retail stores, they are going to look at their options just like any consumer would when they're making buying decisions, because they have, you know, a budget. This is how much space I have in my store. This is how much budget I have to fill that, to then turn around and make money. So they're going to decide where to invest that. Is the space that her product is going to take up going to be worth the investment in buying the product? Is it going to bring me enough money for the investment and the space? Those are things to think about. So where do you do your research? You can use traditional search engines, research on places like Google, Bing, Yahoo, any kind of search engine like that. If you're going to be selling in person, I highly recommend you go to some of these places, hopefully before you're there in person. Go to a few craft fairs. If you're going to be exhibiting at a church craft fair, maybe your goal is to do that next Christmas, try and get there this Christmas. See what people have, see what their pricing is, see what the vibe is. See what's going on, do your research. You can also do research on websites. So if you're going to be selling on Etsy, look at Etsy, obviously. If you're going to sell on Amazon Homemade, look on Amazon Homemade. There are also paid research tools, and these are often platform specific, like erank.com or Sales Samurai. They are Etsy specific. So they dig into all the data and the information about like keywords and trending things and what people are selling for. And you get a lot of information and figure things out by using those. There's another website called SEMrush. It's quite a bit more expensive and it gives more detailed information across the internet. A lot of them do have a free version so you can test them out, try them out before you decide if you want to put your money there. And then the last place is AI tools. Now, everyone has different opinions about AI, but kind of like in the early 90s when people were like, I don't know about this internet thing. Just like the internet, AI is here to stay. And the things people are doing with it, even just right now from week to week, are amazing how it is evolving and changing. And Things like ChatGPT can save you a lot of time and give you a lot of insights, and you're not even going to believe it until you have tried it. You can get a free account at chatgpt.com, so you can do a certain amount of things for free, which is probably going to be enough for you unless you're really getting deep into research. So I'm going to show you an example of using ChatGPT to figure out pricing. So this is what I told ChatGPT. And the more detailed you can be, this is medium. Probably not even medium detailed if I was talking to somebody that uses AI all the time. To me, it's medium detailed. So I typed this in. Search online marketplaces like Etsy, Amazon Handmade, Michael's Handmade, as well as Shopify sites, WooCommerce websites, and more. Always add "and more" because you might not think of something that's going to be relevant to determine the average sales price of handmade fabric key fobs. Because this is what we want to know. We want to know what people are selling key fobs for. And then I said, make a list of reasons for price differences and ideas for me to differentiate my key fobs. So I want this thing to do the heavy lifting for me. So let's see what it came back with. You are not going to believe this if you've never done this before. The answer was amazingly detailed, and I'd broken it up into pieces. So first, ChatGPT tells me, it talks to you like it's your friend. Here's what I found on the average prices of handmade fabric key fobs across multiple online platforms, along with reasons behind the price differences and how you can make your key fobs stand out. And then it gave me a price overview by platform with the specific platforms that I asked for. So Etsy, prices range broadly. Most of them are between $7 and $15. Oh my gosh, that's golden information to have. Then they gave me some examples like floral key fob bracelets are selling between $8 and $10. Personalized or unique fabrics or those with embroidery can be $15 to $17. Okay, now you know how to charge more for your product. Personalize it. Do something a little bit more unique in the fabric. What's next? Amazon Handmade. They just gave me a list of common listings. Organic fabric wristlets, $14.25. Embroidered or floral, about $13.99. Budget or rudimentary craft versions like macrame, small tassels can be lower, $4 to $8. So then you kind of decide where you do or want to fit in that. It also gave me this really cool chart. It likes to give me charts. I love charts. So that I can just at a glance see what's going on. And then it gave me a few examples of independent websites. So I don't know if Momoko Designs is a Shopify website or a WooCommerce, but this is what they told me. And this was really helpful. Like a basic is $8, standard is $10, premium is $12, and a key fob and card wallet is $20. So that gives me an idea if I want to bundle things to get a higher price point. But it's not done. We're not done yet. So then it gave me a list of why prices vary. So materials, premium materials raise your cost and will also justify higher prices. Monogramming, embroidering, or bespoke designs. Bespoke means like custom, fancy. That adds labor and perceived value. And then it always asks me a question at the end. Would you like me to help you do this? Would you like me to help you do that? And you can just say yes. Yes, please help. Or yes, I want help with that. And it'll give you just as much information if you go deeper, but I didn't want this video to be 2 hours. Then it will also tell me what to do next, like think about my brand identity and production priorities, which we just talked about. So we're smart as ChatGPT. How to position into this medium range, etc. So is that not amazing? With that one paragraph, all the information and data that we got from ChatGPT. Now let's talk a little bit more about how to charge and earn more for your products than the bare bones. Now, if you want to do the bare bones, that's totally cool. But if you want to be like, okay, if I'm going to be making these things, I want to make more. One is economy of scale. Making more allows you to buy your supplies in larger quantities, which usually makes them cost less. But you always want to do the math. Then batch your work. The third video in this series is going to be all about it. I'm going to teach you all about Henry Ford and how you can use his ideas to make your work go faster, which decreases your time and labor cost. So the economy of scale, if you decide, okay, I'm going to go deep on key fobs, you can make them cheaper because you're buying more product and getting a better deal. That decreases your materials cost. You can decrease your time and labor cost by batching your work and getting efficient. And again, that's for the next video. Offer personalization. People love things with their name, their initial, or something that is personalized in another way, and they will pay for that. So if you offer that, you're going to make more money per product. You can also look into themed items, identify popular themes that people might be looking for. So If we're in the era of birds trending, you can buy some cute bird fabric. If we're getting ready for Christmas, do more Christmas products because people are going to buy them. Take your key fob and market it as a stocking stuffer. And then in the spring, market it as a Mother's Day gift or a teacher appreciation gift. The same thing can have a different theme depending on how you talk about it. Also, you can add extras, and those little extras can increase the perceived value of a product without increasing your material costs a ton. Maybe you add a charm to a zipper on a zipper bag, and all of a sudden it's so much cuter to a person that is buying, like, oh, I love that. I love the bumblebee on there, or I love the little rose, or I love, the whatever it is. You could use multiple fabrics. Instead of making a key fob with one fabric, you could make it with 2 or 3 fabric. It increases your time a little bit because you have to sew those together. But in the next video, I'm going to show you how to do that quicker. But it increases the perceived value because it's a little different and it's a little bit fancier. And then finally, think about bundles and discounts. Offer discounts if people buy multiple things. You can be like, hey, if you buy 3, get 1 free. Buy 4 products, get 20% off. Different things like that. Or you can pre-group things. So maybe you just want to make it super easy and you sell baby things and you're at a craft fair. And so you have all these baby bibs and you have burp cloths and you have pacifier holders. So people can buy them individually, but then maybe you just make a couple cute little baskets or put them in a little round box. And it is just ready for the person to hand you the money and head to the baby shower. If you make things easy and coordinated and put them together, you can bundle, you can make a little bit more, get a bigger sale. And also they're getting more value for that as well. So that is the end of this video about how to think about pricing. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What resonates with you? What angle do you think you're going to take? And if there's any other things that you want covered, or if you have any questions about anything that I covered today, put that in the comments as well. So I will see you for the next video, where we are going to be talking about different ways you can do your production to decrease your time so that you can make more product and make more money. If you are new here, my name is Tara Reed. I'm an artist. I'm a fabric designer with Riley Blake Designs, and I have owned my own business since 2004. So the reason that I created this video series and the reason that I have created the Sew and Sell project planner that you can get on my Etsy shop is because I love empowering creative people to build businesses of their dreams that work around their lifestyle or the lifestyle that they want to build. I have done this myself, and I have helped others do this as well. I used to teach artists how to work and succeed in the business of art licensing, and now I am excited to be helping people who sew and quilt figure out how to make money with their sewing machine and their fabric scraps, or fabric that they buy too, obviously. That is kind of my story and why I am doing this, and I'm very excited that you found me. This is an area that I have found people are very interested in, so I am going to be going a bit deeper. This 3-part series is to just really give you that foundation to make decisions about what you really want to do, where you want to do it, and what you want to be sewing. Take an even deeper dive into this information with the nearly 50-page PDF Sew and Sell product planner that I have in my Etsy shop. It gives you lots of written information that covers everything from this video and more, as well as worksheets, planning sheets, and things that are just going to make your decision making and running your sewing and selling that much easier. So head over to my Etsy shop and check that out. In addition to this information about how to sew and sell, don't forget, I've got lots of tutorials for things that you might want to consider sewing and selling on my YouTube channel and my blog, and also written patterns and tutorials in my Etsy shop. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that YouTube lets you know every time I post something new. And I'm wishing you much success in your sewing and selling endeavors.